This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 928 of Horse Tip Daily. A different horse tip, a different equine topic, a different equestrian expert every day. Horse Tip Daily brings the world of equine knowledge to you, one day at a time. Greetings, horse people. Coach Jen here, and thanks for tuning in to Horse Tip Daily. Today's tip is an excerpt from the Dressage Radio Show here on the Horse Radio Network. Co-hosts Reese Kofler Stanfield and Philip Parks answer a listener question about half steps. And we'll get right to our tip after this important message from Kentucky Performance Products.
This Nutrition Minute is brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products, the company that simplifies your search for research-proven nutritional supplements at kppusa.com.
The horse that matters to you matters to Kentucky Performance Products. Feeding your horse starch-laden grains can lead to colic, laminitis, and metabolic disease. Today, nutritionists are recommending the use of high-quality fat to provide healthy calories. Fat is an extraordinary energy source. It's readily utilized by the horse and contains more than 2 times the calories of starchy grains. Replacing grain with a high-quality fat supplement reduces a horse's risk of developing health problems. Equijewel Stabilized Rice Bran is an excellent fat supplement. It contains a balanced calcium to phosphorus ratio and won't cause mineral imbalances when added to the diet. Its all-natural ingredients are high in healthy fat and fiber. And best of all, horses fueled by Equijewel stay calmer and more focused on the job at hand. When you need to add healthy calories to your horse's diet, choose Equijewel. To learn more, visit Kentucky Performance Products at kppusa.com.
This Nutritional Minute has been brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products. You can find all of their terrific products at kppusa.com.
Actually, this is one of our favorite listeners, Rhonda Crabtree. Actually, I think she is the most dedicated listener to the Horse Radio Network.
Love her. She's awesome.
Yeah, Glenn's
And can I
met her,
just
right,
add,
Glenn?
yeah, I have, and can I just add that she is one of our newest auditors as of yesterday
yay.
too. So
Oh, fantastic!
she has listened to every episode of every show from day one. She has listened to all 3,200 episodes.
That's amazing.
So there you go.
I haven't
That is
listened to all
dedication. She needs
3,200
an
episodes.
award.
So yes.
We have to have her on the show at some point. Anyways, okay, I'm getting sidetracked. She says, Rhonda says, "Hi, Reese and Philip. I have a question for you. Great. I wonder if you can discuss the difference between half steps and PF. My trainer is currently teaching my 3rd level horse the movements and does some half steps with them. Sometimes it looks a lot like PF to me." Reese, take it away. What do you think?
Okay, yeah. So I'm happy to start this one. So, I mean, really, half steps in PF, it's a way to teach PF. The horses don't come out unless you have ice that falls off the roof and you don't actually get a piaffe.
Yeah, the Andalusians are pretty good at the piaffe.
I got a piaffe today when I had ice. Half the roof fell off. But half steps are a way to teach piaffe. So you can't start, or in most schools of riding, you don't start teaching piaffe on the spot. And you want to actually allow the piaffe to sort of move forward. And that's really what a half step is. When you think about,
I think this one's pretty easy for us this week. A half step is a traveling piaffe. And it can also be a little bit, when you're watching from the ground, a little bit towards passage, but not passage. Okay, so the half step doesn't have that big swinging motion that the passage has. It's just more of the piaffe, I describe it as a little bit more mechanical on the spot. So it's kind of more of a mechanical movement, but traveling forward. And the horses, when they first learn, can travel quite a ways, right? And then so and we discussed this with Ann Gribbins a couple weeks ago, how in the new tests, the A and B, they have piaffe, but that it's allowed to travel 2 meters or so. So that's technically, piaffe is on the spot, and half steps is traveling. So in that test, it's actually it is half steps in the dressage test, but they don't call it that. It's just traveling piaffe. So
yeah, and it can look like piaffe. So if your horse is coming back and he offers to be a little bit more on the spot, that's great. There's nothing wrong with
he's
that.
a good boy, right? Or good man,
that's a sugar right there. That's a big money. That's a big move.
We love that. So it should look a lot like
Piaffe.
But always when the horses start, they mess up the rhythm, and so it depends how good the horse is at it, basically, when you start out with what you're getting. So if it looks a lot like Piaffe, that's wonderful. Good horse.
Yes, exactly. That's awesome. So that's not a problem actually at all. It's great. And in some horses, you'll see they have a lot of talent for Piaffe, a lot, and then maybe not as much talent for Passage. Or funny, I was actually working in half steps with my mare Winnie today, and Winnie, Philip knows her, and you guys have heard me talk about her a little bit. She is hot. She's a hotsy totsy. So I do a lot of just coming back, ask for a little half step. If I get it on the spot, oh, great. It doesn't happen very often, but I just call it bouncing. I just want her to bounce and get comfortable.
Or the horses, I have a horse that I'm working a little bit with this on, same thing around the third level. This is when this normally occurs. And what I look for the horses, and this is kind of the opposite side. This is a not so hot horse that maybe he just shuffles his feet a little bit. It's kind of like, bringing them back to super collection towards a halt, but not halting, because this horse has a tendency just to want to halt and stop and never move again, sort of thing. Yeah. So that's a little bit on the other end of the spectrum. I don't really care about the rhythm or that he's like lifting way up. I just want him to keep kind of moving and get a little bit hotter. And so, it has its different uses. When we talk to trainers about the upper level horses and stuff, they introduce it quite early, right? We're not waiting for the horse to be at Pre-St. George or I1 before we're teaching this. It's good to get on early and just, it's all about collection. Like we said, all the horses have different talents for it and different ways of learning how to do this from the ground under the rider. This could be a huge, teaching half steps, it could be just a whole week's worth of episodes. We hear a lot of the different terminology, and so it's great to try and to explain it to somebody who hasn't experienced it this stage in the horse's training a lot. That what exactly we're talking about, half steps, right?
Exactly, that's right. And I think just to kind of close it out, it's a good thing to introduce the high level movements if the horse is ready in a very stress-free, if they're going to bounce a little bit and do a little half step at third level, there's not an issue as long as it's stress-free and there's no tension that's being created, because we want them to sort of know that this information is out there and something like this is going to happen.
It might come back. Yeah, it might come back to be in the training later. So
right, exactly.
It can be fun for the horse. Some horses, I know with the Frisians, super talented for it. So he was like, they're always excited to kind of get to doing that because it's something they do really well. Whereas, the tough part in my experience with the Frisian that I rode was canter. So canter was so difficult, and that was the stress. So for a little bit of stress release, we would do stuff that's fun, but also still exercise and work. It's different than just walking around on the buckle as a stress release, but it's, we're working the horse and he's like, oh, this is fun. And you get to praise him a lot, give him lots of sugars. So it's, it's cool.
They like it. Yeah. You want them to like it. You want the big money, have fun. And because eventually at the end of the day, we want them to Piaffe down the center line in Wellington. That's what you want. So
it's always towards Grand Prix, right? Yep. Every horse, you try and take them as far as they can go.
Yeah, so that's really good. It's a great question, and please feel free to ask those type of questions. We love questions, and it helps us come up with our trainer tips for the week. So,
well, there you go. To listen to more tips on everything from barn care to websites for horse people, just go to horsetipdaily.com and look for the topics drop-down menu on the left. And now you can have every single one of your favorite Horse Radio Network shows with you wherever you go. With the free Horse Radio Network app for iPhone and Android, just go to your app store and look for Horse Radio Network. This podcast has been made possible through the generous support of Kentucky Performance Products and listeners like you. Listeners like you, you ask? Well, of course. Folks like you who enjoy great podcasts on the Horse Radio Network can support your favorite programs by supporting our sponsors like Kentucky Performance Products, and you can also become an official auditor. You can learn how by going to horsetipdaily.com and look for the Become an Auditor banner in the center of the page. The Horse Radio Network and the Horse Radio Network hosts are not responsible for statements of guests or their opinions. Use your own judgment when listening to the tips provided by the experts on Horse Tip Daily.